Welcome to the Beacon by Soul 33, teachings for your past, present and future. Good morning, everybody. It is October 14th and I'm here at home in Auckland, New Zealand. And I'm so happy to be here with you. Remember, if you're listening to this on the Beacon app, on YouTube, on Spotify, please don't forget to like, tag, subscribe, do all the things to help support the channel so that I can bring you more resources, more lessons. Remember, these are soul progression lessons. It's for us to rise above the experiences in our life and apply these lessons that come through my spirit guides to me. And I am like you. I am learning too. I'm going on this journey with you. I'm growing with you. And so I go back and read and listen to these as well because it really helps me to go, oh, okay, now I understand why these words came out of my mouth or why this is unfolding in the way that it should be. So as you listen to this, if you have your journals with you, if you're not listening when you're driving, get them out because just make notes of what you hear while you're listening to this, what it is that you're picking up, because this is about you and your soul progression. We're all on different paths, but we're applying the general soul progression Monday mantra lesson to that path. And remember, the previous weeks all still apply. It's just that I break them down so it's easier for us to apply into our lives rather than looking at a big long thing all at once. I love how many of you reached out when you saw the Angel of Virtues picture that I put up on my social media. And if you haven't seen her, go have a look. She's absolutely beautiful. And as I go and visit her and receive more downloads from her, I will pass that on to you, of course. Now, as we do the recap of last week, remember when I come into these Monday mantras, I've prepared spiritually like I do before a session so that I can pass on any energy and frequencies that come through me to you. And I'm always going to show up as myself and just talk to you about what naturally comes out of my mouth and what I've pre-prepared from the forecast that I write about a month in advance so that I kind of have a general view on how we need to be feeling about things and thinking about things. And I actually plan my life around my Monday mantras too. So that's a really good way. Like if I know that it's about surrendering or the Divine Feminine Festival, I'll try and navigate my life a little bit. I'm not talking about in advance, but I'll be like, okay, well, if that's happening on this day, or I need to be sorting this out because there's a full moon or whatever, plan it out as much as you can. Obviously, I know everyone's got different schedules. Okay. Let's recap last week's Monday mantra. I developed my own virtues through surrendering. I developed my own virtues through surrendering. And I gave you some examples of virtues last week. And, having faith, having hope, having fortitude, having justice, having prudence, temperance. They were just, things to look at. But what was coming up for you? I meditate every day. And it was so interesting because I'm feeling a lot of angelic energies, and that angelic energy comes in again even more strongly this week. So you're going to have to look out for these messages from your spirit guides and your angels. And with the virtues, I have to tell you, I was challenged a lot last week. I was challenged with my Scorpio fiery nature because I used to have a very bad temper as I was growing up. And that fiery nature is still within me. And I was put in situations by certain things that were happening in my life where I was really tempted to react rather than respond, to react from that place of anger rather than surrendering to why it was happening and developing the virtue of patience and compassion and empathy and looking at where my vices were, because the opposite of a virtue is a vice. So the question I have for you today, what are your vices? What are I know my shadow sides very well. I know my fire. And I will often, when things happen in my life, the question that I ask of you and the question that I ask for myself, this is why I'm giving this to you to ask, it's like when something happens, obviously I'll have my natural response to it or reaction to it. And I noticed I was reactive last week, almost maniacal in some way, because it's a collective energy. Because if we look at all of the things that are happening on Earth, floods and war and hurricanes and just all kinds of crazy things, which is making people get so in the mind and getting everyone so distressed. It's like that maniacal energy. And I was getting that through people as well, being like that towards me. But then I was feeling that. So I was like, oh, I'm attracting this on some level. So there's something, some shadow within me that's some type of vice rather than a virtue that I need to convert. And for me, it was the anger, it was the frustration. Remember I brought up aloneness the week before? It was something to do with that also. So I'm just giving you examples of what's been happening in my own life so that you know how to apply them in your life. So surrendering was hard for me last week. It was something that I really had to, how do you consciously, my eyes are going towards a bird that's outside. So I'm bringing this up because I've never seen this bird before, and it's flying in unusual shapes and patterns around me, which is drawing me to talk about the white dove with the black dove underneath. Now, whether it's a black dove or crow, because I placed an image on my Instagram stories, Spirit keeps showing me the white dove on top and the black dove below, even though we know black doves don't exist. It could be the black crow. It's like the shadow and the light flying together, that integration, which is why surrendering was so challenging, because I've got this light side to me, which is why people come to me and have the lessons. But I'm a human being. I have all the feelings like everybody else has. I get mad. I need to assert boundaries. I sometimes say things that I think, oh God, why did I say that? And so the question that I want you to ask yourself, which is the question what I ask myself, is how should I be responding to this? Because my reaction may have been the shadow, but the light is on top. The bird flies together, the crow or the black dove underneath with the white dove on top. And so that's flying with the peace, the tranquility, with the transformation, the transition that we're all making, because that maniacal energy, that people being more aggressive, people being rude, people jealousy as a vice. And I'm getting a big, massive frequency coming through my ear right now. Those of you who are experiencing jealousy, whether it's towards you or there's unconscious jealousy within you, remember, you are so unique and have your own gifts. And when you step into them, even though you may not know how to, you'll be guided into that, in that space of surrender. Because gifts don't come because we force them. Gifts come because we are just integrating our shadow and our dark. How should I be responding to this? And surrendering to the experience of going, okay, this is what's meant for me. And you will get your signs, you will get your synchronicities that will help you realize, like, oh no, even though this is a challenging situation, this is what's meant to be happening. And as we know, with floods going on, like I'm sort of being more exposed to so many more things, because I'm meeting so many of you from all different parts of the world. And it's like, when we think about floods historically, like, what happens after a flood? What happens after there's destruction? There's always going to be new growth. And as hard as that is to get our head around, because people are in pain, people are losing their lives, loved ones suffering, there's war, there's all of those things. It's like the light is still on top, and that's us here that are healing ourselves and letting things unfold and being the best vibration we can possibly be, and dealing with our vices and questioning things rather than just, reacting. And so, we had the Divine Feminine Festival of Navaratri in my culture, and I actually loved this festival because I'd forgotten about the dates of it when I was recording the Monday Mantra last week. But it came up at the perfect time, because Goddess Durga, she represents all different aspects of us, from the spiritual side to the fierce side. And this is why that light and dark integration is that all of that is to be utilized for us developing who we are even further. Like, my fire is also part of my water and my light. And I love that about me, but I've had to not let it be a destructive thing, because it could be if I allowed it to do that. Surrender and mercy. My goodness, boy, did I have to have mercy on some situations in my life. And I certainly had to surrender, especially with someone like me who is quite controlling. That is something that it's in my nature from a place of fear, right? And having to unravel that and go, I can't control this anymore. I feel like everyone's intuition is really dialed up. This is why people are picking up on synchronicity so much more. People are seeing and feeling the angels, having massive breakthroughs. But these breakthroughs are not necessarily like these wonderful feelings. We all know, those of us who have go through spiritual awakenings or have done or are, it's like this dark night of the soul thing. And it's like that's really heightened right now, this agitation, but it is to get to the light. Receiving information spiritually as well as physically. Who will have a message for you, or do you have a message for someone else? I had lots of messages. I had positive messages, and I had messages that were not so nice. And I was thinking, this is really interesting, because it was for me to go, am I working morally? Am I working ethically? Am I working? Oh, the thumbs come up of those of you who are looking at the screen. So even though my thumb came up and it's picked it up, it's still a sign, right? We're on the right path. Like, good on us for talking about this. But are you operating in the world morally? Are you operating the work ethically? Are you with aligned action? Because those are the virtues. So if we are tempted to hurt someone with our words, or pull them down, or not want to see them grow, or feel jealousy, those are the vices that need to be addressed in order to turn them into virtues, because those darker aspects of us are not going to get us into the light where we're wanting to be fully aligned with our dharma, with our path. And the systems, I keep talking about systems, and I don't fully completely understand why yet, but virtues are a form of systematic change in our life. And we're going to be talking a bit more about that this week when I get to that, but it's important that I'm giving you this energy now through the recap, is that living in alignment of who we are means that we are going to get triggered by certain experiences to double check that we are living morally, ethically, with the virtues that we want to keep, not the vices. Okay, so if you're sitting with your journal now, to be fully observant and aware, you might want to go, okay, what are my vices? Like, what are the things about my personality? I can be a bit negative. I was a bit complainy last week. And so, of course, I was going to receive that kind of energy in return, because I was feeling complainy. And it's just human nature. We go through these ebbs and flows for us to be able to be more aware and become more light and become more connected to love. I love that I put in love is in the air. You may be having feeling of deja vu or wanting to recreate memories with someone. I didn't mean that necessarily with a partner or a lover, because for me it ended up being with friendships. I was connecting with friends that I've known for years and sharing very vulnerably, which then has bonded us in different ways that we haven't had that feeling. Like, I saw a friend who's got children now, and I haven't seen her in a long time, and we went out and had brunch together, and we were very open. Like, I was telling her how I was feeling and that I was feeling a bit upset, and it just bonded us, and we've known each other since we were 18. And so it's kind of like that love in the air is actually helping us create and recreate memories, because it felt like we were uni students again that had met when we were 18 on the first day of uni. And she's like, oh, it's so nice having adult time to be able to just talk about how we feel. This next statement: truths will be revealed and light will shine in places that may have been confusing to give you more clarity. Someone said to me last week, and I know she told me this because I need to pass it on to you, there is a difference between opinion and there's difference between truth. So when truths will be revealed, you may be hearing the opinion of others, but it's not necessarily truth, because you know the truth. The people who know you know the truth. The people who see you for who you are know the truth of who you are. And this is where a vice may be judgment, okay? And so we all judge to a certain degree, don't we? Because we're humans and we're learning. When we know better, we do better, we heal, we understand. Like, I look back sometimes and think, You know how when we look back at photographs of ourselves, we either admire or we go, oh my goodness, what was I thinking wearing that? Or I can't believe I liked those jelly shoes or whatever it was. We all grow and we can't judge people on who they were, especially if they were just giving you and doing their best. Also with you. Don't judge yourself on who you were. Sure, my work that I do one-on-one with people is to go into timelines and see, what are you doing there? Where were you? Where are you now? But it's not to judge, it's to understand, it's to clear, it's to come back to that, to add light to it. Just like how I give you that energy in the Angel of Virtues meditation. I know it's a confusing time. I'm feeling that too, very confused. I was feeling quite upset over the weekend, that volatility type of energy, but it's what's happening here on earth to come back to that place of clarity. Maybe you'll be showing yourself in a way that you've been wanting to, but had been too afraid till now. This could be in boundary setting too. It's like, I think people forget that we're all human beings, we all have our journey, we all have things going on in our lives. So you may have been presenting yourself in a way, I know I was seeing all those sides to me where I was like, oh yeah, I've forgotten that part of me exists. It's like a friend of mine who's a psychic said to me, and it's exactly how I feel. We forget that we're psychic or mediums when we're not working because we're just going through life doing all the things that we do. And I think it's a good thing, like to stop and come back to ourselves to go, who am I really? You know, am I presenting myself in one way, but actually I've got all of these things. This is why I always say to you, I just show up as the way that I am. I'm not a guru. I don't know everything, but I do have strong knowing. And I know that how we present ourselves in the world is what we get back. So any resistance that we have underlying, any resistance that we have on another timeline, it's playing out here, and we need to be open to understanding all of that. So my question to you is, what have you been afraid of showing? This could be you need to speak up about something. This could be that you're wanting to showcase something. You know, within a world where unfortunately there's people who feel jealous when they look at the lives of other people and like, how did they get there? Why them? We need to actually look at why we feel like that, if you are feeling like that towards somebody or something, and know that maybe you need to take more of a risk, or maybe you need to drop your guard and clear out what's causing you worry. And that worry word came up for me a lot last week. It's like, why am I worrying about this? Or my mum said, why are you worrying about that? Or we shouldn't be worried about this. But it's that revealing time. It's like the flood coming in and clearing everything in a form of destruction. And after that, all the growth that comes, the connectedness, the togetherness, sometimes we just have to accept and surrender that this is just what's happening for us in our lives right now. How am I meant to be feeling about this? How am I meant to be utilizing this for my growth, for my expansion, for me to have the virtues that are truly important? Because those who lose everything are left with that system of all I have is who I am, to act ethically, morally, with patience, with whatever, all of the things, compassion. I put here, it's time to reveal some things that we all know truth can be hard to hear, but we must be able to accept it. We are all rediscovering lost parts of ourselves, and let me tell you, that's really been something. So remember, the part that I'm elaborating on is that you may have been challenged on opinion, but it's not truth. So when truth can be hard to hear, it's hard to hear because you have not seen your power. You have not noticed how valuable you actually are. And so therefore someone's challenging you on that to make sure that you come to a place of realizing what your truth is. There is more light showing you the divine presence of something more coming into your life. And I really feel that strongly. It's like, once the flood is gone, what are we left with? And starting again. I know many people are starting again in their lives in so many ways. That's actually quite a beautiful place to start, because at the end of the day, when we all physically perish, we can't take anything with us. Emotions being high, gosh, yes, really high for me. But I know it's because it was revealing parts of me that still needed to be healed. So what emotions did you feel? What's coming up? What needs to be healing? Because even when anger is triggered or frustration or someone says something to you, or if I say something to someone, well, I've healed that already. Well, maybe we haven't. Like, I'm always so open to go, oh, this is a trigger. Thank you for triggering me. Because I'm like, okay, this is what we need to look at. So keep doing your Angel of Virtues meditation and understand what light is coming into your life by allowing her, that Angel of Virtue, to come to life. As we progressed through the week, the different goddesses came up. Skandamata came up with looking after her, the sixth-faced child, which is all the different elements. And this is why flood, all of that, because the earth, the water, the fire, the air, the ether, the pure Shakti, divine feminine consciousness, it's shaking everything up. It's shaking us all up. And then we moved through the week into Goddess Katyayani. She uses her anger as her power. And I felt that agitation, and I was like, okay, needing to get through all the fear into a place of benevolence and protecting myself and protecting all of those that are supporting me on my journey as I support you. And then we had Goddess Kal Ratri. Ratri means night in my language, Tamil. And I put up a beautiful picture of her, but the typical representations is that she's very scary looking with her tongue out. And again, it's the dark and the light. I wanted to say swan, but I feel like that's another goddess that's coming through as we're talking about this. The goddess of knowledge, Saraswati, is stepping forward for us today. Don't know why yet, but there we go. She's coming through to us now. But the dark and the light dove flying together, Kal Ratri, she comes in the night, and her name meaning time and death at night or in the dark. And that's not just physical death, even though I know so many people are experiencing that in their lives in some form, and it's so very, very hard on the human experience to experience that loss. But death is also that transformation in the night, everything coming to life when everything is just dark. The light, that's when the light shines through. And as we transition from the space, the symbolism of Kal Ratri is destroying our fears, a death to our worries, all those thoughts that we can have, like, are we good enough? Why does that person have this and I don't? And why have I, all of that stuff is, the demons are coming up, for lack of a better word. And we're just needing to surrender to them and go, okay, how should I be looking at this? What can I do to heal? And that's by loving ourselves and focusing on our virtues. And all of our virtues will be different depending on who we are and where we are in life. The Be Patient card came up, and when that came up, I was like, oh, that's right. It's a good message for me, miscontrolling nature over here. When the hows are working themselves out, a lot of people will be asking me how. I don't know how. We just have to follow along, right? We have to surrender, and that's why we need to be patient. Hows are working themselves out. How is this going to happen? We need to be patient. When we've done all that we can, we need to be patient, dropping the control, which is advice for myself. In a week where we surrender, where we are being asked to surrender, and that's because the main message is to focus on what are the vices and the virtues within us so we can differentiate the two and heal the stuff that's of the shadow and focus on the light, because that's where more comes in. So I feel like the Be Patient card, really, really important for all of us. And then the goddess Mahagauri comes up. She's about direction and movement, freedom to move, because she's got the inner beauty and she also has outer beauty. So actually, Kieran said this to me, my Kieran, our Kieran. People can have outer beauty, but maybe not inner beauty. But when someone has inner beauty, they always have outer beauty. So it's like in this energy, the true purification of your soul. Like if you're someone that's saying mean or nasty things to people, or you're receiving that, that's triggering within us what we need to be healing if you're on the receiving end. So what is beautiful in your life at the moment? Coming back to that place of gratitude, write something down. And for me, it was all those connections with my wonderful friends, seeing them, and also even messages and things of the connections that I have at a time where I'm needing that support as well with everything that's gone on in my life. And then we had Goddess Siddhitri, and Goddess Siddhi, I'll call her. she sits on the lotus and she bestows supernatural gifts. And this is why I realized that spirit's like intuition is really dialed up. Signs are really dialed up. Even if it's painful, it's still a synchronicity for us to be able to have the light and the dark together. Who are you? What are you? What are your connections with everyone around you? How can you direct yourself towards more of who you are? How can you stop and listen and surrender to what is happening? And how can you take a step back when you feel like you're going to react badly and respond in a way that is powerful for a person to feel empowered rather than hurting them? Because, as my best friend said to me last week, she was thinking of how to respond to someone, and she'll be listening to this. She said to me, hurt people, right? So we need to heal our hurt so we don't hurt people, but we can still say what we want to say, especially if it's a truth. An opinion is just an opinion. And the extended meaning of the Monday mantra, we come back to the basics of our virtues when we surrender to life. Because when we surrender with all the things that are happening in our lives, whether we like them or not, they are happening. We have to accept. Acceptance is a form of surrender. We begin to see what comes up for us and how we really respond to life if we are challenged or in pain or in flow. So where are you? I experienced all of that last week. Are we reactive or are we adhering to balanced, virtuous standards that we set for ourselves? And I just think that's still a very important energy as we go through, because these are the mysteries that are coming up, the mysteries about ourselves. When we think we've healed something, even when I'm 100 years old, if I get to that age, you'll still find me here talking to you, but won't ever sit here like I know everything and I've healed everything, because my belief is when you do, I wouldn't be here. I'd be on some other realm. I'm a human being. We all are. And we should never think that we know everything. I've healed it all, because just when we do think that, someone will come in and challenge us and trigger something to go, I've done that. I've healed that. Well, obviously you haven't. Otherwise it wouldn't be coming up as a trigger, right? So that's how I look at things when it comes into my life. Lots to think about there. And remember, we talk about these transitions because I'm giving you the energy. And as I said, Goddess Saraswati is coming up. And do you know what I was seeing when I came to sit down? Is the crab. Okay, it's like I'm bringing in the spirit animal of the crab, and that is to explore the emotions. That is to strengthen your intuition. And I feel like we've got a full moon coming up this week. It's like a power to drive with the emotions and that are coming up from all these things that are happening for us. Like, what are the emotions? It's coming up around the moon phase and water. So this is why I'm seeing the crab, which is really interesting. Remember, I'm only here for you. Now, I'm only one person. And I know there's so many of you trying to get a hold of me in some form, but Kieran is the person to email if you're needing a mini reading or a personalized meditation or to go on a wait list. I'm really, when I tell you, I'm doing my very best to help as many as I can. I really am. And I know that a lot of you know me, and you know that I'm not sitting here on my high horse pretending I know everything. I'm just growing like you with our spiritual journeys together. And so when it's the right time for you to see me, it will be. And when it's the right time for you to receive whatever you receive from me, it will be. But for now, you can heal yourselves. You've all got the power. We've all got the power to do that. You've got your app. You've got your homework. There's so many tools that you can use to really assist yourself in your expansion and growth. But if you need anything, soul33@gmail.com. And remember to be clear in the subject title so that Kieran knows how to help you. Any IT problems, please make sure that your app is up to date, that you are logged in, that you've checked your spam folder for an email from Free Vocal, soul33@gmail.com. Okay, let's talk about this week. So we've talked about Goddess Saraswati. So Goddess Saraswati, she is the goddess of knowledge, and like school students pray to Goddess Saraswati because she's education, she's creativity. She comes out with a very centered energy and calming when there's, that disorder and agitation. So Saraswati's energy is coming in now. And with the crab, I always start feeling full moon things about a week before, which is why I've started feeling all emotional and all of that. But As we go into this week's Monday mantra, this is what I felt like I wanted to set it as. It's still around the virtues, it's still around surrender, but just a different perspective. Cosmic laws are providing clarity once I've released something that doesn't serve me. So pay attention this week to what you are releasing that doesn't serve you. What emotion, what vice, what person, what experience, what physical representation of something. What are you having to let go of and release? People, as I mentioned, are behaving in very unusual ways, crazy, unhinged, confused. People, that's why mental health stuff, I mentioned that a few weeks ago, people are really dialed up with how they're feeling. So this is why it's important that we come back to ourselves and remember to take just one step at a time, one day at a time. And the power that is leading us, we want it to be the light, not our darkness, not our shadow, because we need that. We all need that shadow to heal and to navigate our lives, but we want the white dove to be on top. And as we are moving through this week, and because we've been talking about virtues and systems and how we are operating in the world, how should I be feeling about this? This is how I'm actually feeling, but is this the perspective? Is this going in line with my virtues? And I've seen triggers coming up for me, for my clients, for my friends, for my family, but it's in order to release things, to come back to the truth, so that we can see the cosmic laws unfolding. And we might not all know what this means yet. We're probably going to be recapping this together next week, but just let this absorb energetically to you now. There will be more answers, more mysteries revealed, mostly internally, but you might be getting feedback from externally, something that you need to know. You have a stronger knowing. And when clarity comes in, you might be needing to ask for support, spiritual support, angel support, okay? Whether it's the angel of virtues, Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, whoever your angelic team is, you don't even need to see them or feel them. Just trust that they are there. There might be some emergency situations. Now, this is not to, I don't feel panicked by this, but it's just, this is what I feel like I want to say to you. Emergency situations where it's like, need to think on your feet, need to sort of decide right now. But you have the knowing as to what to do now. It's kind of like when things happen and you naturally just, you know what to do, your instincts kick in, your survival mode kicks in. It's kind of like that type of energy a little bit. So just see how that comes out. But we can't cut corners, Spirit said. It's like everything needs to follow that system. So we may be, basically, all the work that we are doing here together, the thumb is coming up as an acknowledgement that we're all doing the right thing on the screen if you're watching YouTube. It's like everything that we are learning and doing together is so that we start getting the physical manifestations of what we really want and a very small percentage of the challenging things, because it's just triggering like, oh, okay, let's check in on that. Am I still holding on to this? Yes. Sometimes I think I've let something completely go and then it just comes up and I'm like, oh, here we go again, another layer of it. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of emergency situation, something that I have to deal with immediately. Every detail counts, Spirit said. I'm not a very detail-orientated person, so this is going to be a tough one for me. Every detail counts. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself. Don't look at another person and put them up on a pedestal. Look at you. And you don't need to put yourself up on a pedestal. There's no point, because that's the ego. But just be proud of how far you've come, and proud of what you're learning about yourself and what you're overcoming, and just let that light shine in the world, because you're going to get more of that back. Creating a sacred space. You might want to create a little altar, a little space outside. Those of you who are losing everything in some way, find a sacred space and come back to what is important. Home is the focus for the week also. Physical home, being grounded in your body. Like I have felt quite outside of my body, inside of my head more, trying to come back into my body. So what does home mean to you this week? And so you might not be able to answer that until the whole week is over. But feeling compassion for yourself, feeling trust that you are safe with the angels guiding you and supporting you, recognizing yourself. Don't look at someone else. Don't look at me and go, oh, I'm just a person. And it's kind of like connecting with yourself and showing your self-love. And that's how we heal, is when we love ourselves in whatever that means, how we nourish our body, how we present ourselves. What is self-love to you? There's opportunity to find love. So last week I talked about recreating memories, which I did with friends. This week is more about rekindling attraction. And so this is about law of attraction. That's why I said we want our light to shine, because that's what's going to bring more to us. But it's also rekindling attraction in general. So see how that plays out in your life. Put yourself in places where there is opportunity, okay? So that can be applied in any areas of your life too. You might find yourself being or needing to be convincing, not manipulative, convincing, to lure things to you. Like, I feel like this really means convincing. You know how I think we had a Monday mantra recently where I said fake it till you make it, but I didn't mean it in those words. It's like already assuming you've got it, right? It's like having that energy of like, I've got it. I value myself. I've got it. And it's not from a place of ego. It's like, I know I'm on the right path. And that's the convincing, to lure what it is that you're wanting to you, because you already know, you already have clarity. That's what you want, being clear about what you want. Do it from a place of light and not manipulation is what I've got after that. There is movement coming up for us. Movement with the water, movement with the crab, movement with Goddess Saras, with his creativity and her wisdom, education, because we know education's not just book studies, it's being street smart, it's learning from our experiences. But Spirit is moving things along, and it may be on other realms that something else is going on that's triggering us here, which I think is a really important perspective to have. We have the full moon coming up on the 17th, 18th, depending on where you are. And it is that manipulative type of energy. So, me being Scorpio, having that fiery side, anything that is manipulating us that is not of the light, whether it's our own thoughts, our own vices, time to heal that, to release that with the full moon, to slow down, to come back to home so we can move forward with compassion, with trust, with our dharma unfolding, so that we can actually see why things are coming up for us, because somehow we are attracting it. We are coming back to this emptiness and the path of things being right for us. And we can never please anybody. We can just be ourselves and love as much as we can, even though sometimes we do need to express certain things to build connections, That's what we want to do. We want to be building connections with people, not destroying things, whether it's a connection from us together, or we're connecting them to something else, empowering somebody else. We're going to take a moment now. I feel like the third eye tarot card is the moon card, and I think that's why I was seeing a crab. And so we're going to take a moment now to receive this energy of the cosmic laws working with us, to give us clarity and the power to handle something that is going to be released from us this week that doesn't serve us, but it might trigger that fear. But that's a good thing, because we want to get it out. So giving you cosmic laws to be on our side, giving you the clarity, bringing you Goddess Saraswati, bringing you the crab energy of releasing the emotions, releasing the baggage. And if you're feeling crazy, unhinged, confused, aggressive, it's a collective thing. And so we being here, healing ourselves, we're doing a lot for ourselves, but we're also clearing the vibration for other people to step into that too. Remember, if you need me, I am one person. I thank you for your patience and your understanding and what that means. We are getting to emails. We're doing batch by batch, but there are other ways to communicate. And get some guidance if it's just brief guidance that you're needing, or receive healing through a personalized meditation. And that is Kieran at soul33@gmail.com. Cosmic laws are providing clarity. So look at what the cosmic laws are coming up for you, because it's a expansion of virtues. Because we were talking about our virtues last week. This week it's the cosmic laws, okay? Cosmic laws are providing clarity once I have released something that doesn't serve me, sending you all the support of the angels as well. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you all